Today we'll start SQL injection. This is the one of the main part of the ethical hacking. So we SQL injection will be used to get access to the database, and as well as SQL injection statistics. Actually, why we need to learn the SQL? First, we need to know the statistics of the SQL injection. And nowadays, we have a lot of websites based on the WordPress, and as well as we have web database programming, and in that database there are a lot of vulnerabilities in the programming, especially ASP and PHP. In that programming we have a lot of SQL queries, and in those queries we have a lot of vulnerabilities, and using those vulnerabilities the attackers will attack the victims. And we have also lots of email address, and we want to get the email address, especially for the organizations and for other for the private organizations. We want to get the email address and as well as passwords. So overall SQL injection, if we consider the total attacking system, so in here we can see that 16.1% of the attack will happen by the SQL injection. So for this reason, this is very important things, and whatever the hacking method they are using, most of the cases to get the preliminary information you need the SQL injection. So SQL injection is very much popular and very demanding. So what are the things we'll know? What is SQL injection? What will be the SQL injection? So first, this is a technique to take advantage of the vulnerabilities, especially for the non-validated input systems. And if there is a non-validated input vulnerabilities, then easily we can pass the SQL commands to get access to the database of the web application. This is the basic attack. Using this attack, we can retrieve information, or we can get unauthorized access. And when it will happen if the web application has the flaw, and then we can get access. We can do the SQL injection. This is not for the database, this is not for the web server. This is just flow of the SQL applications or web applications. So when we develop the web application, we will have a lot of SQL queries, and in those queries, there are some vulnerabilities. We need to find those vulnerabilities and then we can attack based on the vulnerabilities using SQL command. And this is known as actually SQL injection. And then why do we need SQL injection? Why do we need it? Why we bother about it? We can do a few things with the SQL injection because this is the preliminary. I already told you that this is the primary stage of the attack. So what we can do with the SQL injection is, with the SQL injection we can do the authentication bypass. That means without username and password, you can get access to the database and administrative, and will also get the administrative privilege. And then information disclosure. What you can do, you can with this SQL injection, you can get the sensitive information that is stored in the database. and then compromise data integrity. So what the attacker can do, attacker can attack the web application and then deface the web page, and as well as he can insert the malicious content to the web. So also yeah, the attacker can modify or delete the data. This is called the data integrity, and using SQL injection we can easily compromise the data injection, and then compromise the availability of the data. So using the SQL injection, what we can do, we can delete update, we can delete the data, we can delete the log system, and as well as we can delete the auditing system, which is stored in the database. So we can compromise the availability of the data. If we delete the data, the user can no longer see this one. And then remote code execution, it can assist the attacker, to compromise the host operating system or the victim's operating system. So for this reason we need to bother about the SQL injection. Again, I'm repeating that. Why do we need to bother about the SQL injection? We can do the authentication bypass, we can do the information disclosure, and then we can compromise the data integrity, compromise the availability of data, and then remote code execution. Now, how the web application work? Most of us we know the system, how the web application works. So first user log into the put the login information, then hit the internet, and then go through the firewall. We get access to the web server, web application, and then DBMS, and finally the user can get the output from the DBMS. So these are the way the web application works. I'm telling you the basic these basic things because you need to know how the web application works before doing any hacking things. So what are the technologies behind the SQL injection and the server side? So the server side technologies we normally use for web application ASP.NET and database servers, and to create dynamic and data-driven websites So normally we use ASP.NET or PHP, something like this. And then what we can do, we can easily in the ASP.NET and as well as SQL can be easily exploited by the hackers using SQL injection. And then all relational databases and SQL servers are susceptible to SQL injection attacks, because what we need to do, we need to get access to the database and as well as SQL server or Oracle MySQL to get the information. So using SQL injection, we can get access to all of it, and then attack. What we can do, we can find out the specific vulnerabilities of the target website, and then we'll try to exploit the SQL injection, and where we can do the SQL injection. If the web application do not follow the secure coding policies, then easily someone can inject SQL to attack the system. So if we do the HTTP request, so what will happen? We need to know the basic things, because if we don't know this, then how will you inject the SQL to get specific information? In this screen, we are getting that they are this is the login information, and we are putting the username and then password. And then if we click on the submit, then it will go through the internet. How it will go? If you put this one here, I told you, through the internet, it will go to the firewall, and then through the web server, it will go through the web application and DBMS. So these are the way the web application normally works. So what will happen in the coding? What will happen in the coding? In the coding, when you are putting the username and password and then clicking the submit button, then it will happen. For example, you are trying to get input, you are trying to get it is select start from user, where username equal to this username and then password equal to this password. So when you will write the query, you have to write the query like this, because if the username and password is authentic, then you will get the information, and if not, then you will not get this information. So this is the query in the HTTP language, in the ASP.NET. How we can write? We can write from these are the things. So we are taking input from the text button. We're getting input from the text button, and as well as we are getting password from the another text button. And from the first one type is text, because name is as text, and then second one type is password, and then for example the name is password, because the name is the labeling. These are the labeling. So this is the coding of the coding in the ASP.NET, and as well as input type equal to submit. This one is the submit, and below equal to login. If you click on, then it will log in. So what will happen? So you are getting the password. We need to know, because we will get the coding from the web application. So you have to know that, okay, this is for username and this one for password. So in this way, you can inject the SQL. So if you know the place, then you can modify it and then inject the SQL queries. So for this reason, we need to know the things. Actually, SQL injection, basically SQL injection, where it works. It works in the place where you can put some input, and then you can get some either some message or some information from those input box. So you have to have some sort of input box. And this is another example, normal SQL query example. And what it is, you are putting the username and password here, you are putting username and password here, and clicking the logon button, clicking the logon button. So what is the SQL query? If you write what is the SQL query, SQL query is the string query is select count star from users where username. If the text button of this one is txt user dot text, and this one txt password dot text, these two are text box actually. So you are getting username from this text, and you are getting password from this text. So if the input username and the input password matches with the database, then you will get the following information. If not, then you will not get those type of information. So what we can do, if you click submit button here, then this query is converted to something like this: select count star from users where username equal to this username JSON and password equal to this password Springfield, and then it will hit the database. Once it will hit the database, then it will start matching whether is there any input username is JSON in the database. If you find the JSON, then it will find the JSON. And then password, if the JSON password matches with this one, then you will get access, otherwise you will not get access to the database. So how we can do what is the SQL injection, then understanding how will you know this is the SQL injection. So what we can do, what the attacker can do, attacker will try to put something special either in the name text box or in the password text box. So you are changing the either name text box or password text box. So in this way, if you put something special here and something special SQL code here, then it will be known as SQL injection. You may put it in so what he can try, this is a basic example of SQL injection, that the select count star from users where username equal to blah, or what he is putting or 1 equal to 1, this is always true. 1 equal to 1, this is always true. And then a double hash means after that whatever you have, it will be treated as comment. That means it will be treated as comment, that part will not be work in the part of SQL query. So if you put here blah, a single quotation, and that means the quotation will finish here, or 1 equal to 1 and then comment, what will happen here? Select count star from users where username equal to blah, and this single quotation, that means this username equal to blah, or 1 equal to 1. 1 equal to 1, this is always true. 1 equal to 1, this is always true. And after comment, after this one, we are making the comment here. That means it will be treated as comment. Now it is not the part of the SQL query. So if we divide into two parts, what will happen? Select count star from users where username equal to blah, or 1 equal to 1. And then the rest of the things will be treated as comment, and it is not the part of our SQL query. So now if you put the if you click on the submit buttons, what will happen? It will execute just until 1 equal to 1. That means select count star from users where username equal to blah, or 1 equal to 1. And here you see username may be blah, or 1 equal to 1. This statement is always true. 1 equal to 1, it is always true. So what you can do, if you execute this one, then you will get all the information from the table users. Then whatever the information you have, you will get all the informations from the users and all the fields from the user. And now whatever the query they have, you can do that one. You can do count here, you can get other field value as well. But in this way, you can get access to the database without the password, because in the coding you are mentioning that you don't need to you don't need password, because you need just the username, and username is always true. Because if there is no username blah, you have or operation 1 equal to 1, 1 equal to 1 is true, so you can get access to the database for all the users. So you don't need any password in that case. So in this way, we can start to inject SQL into the database. And then what is SQL query code analysis? That's it. You are putting the. I already told that when you put the username and password, it will match in the user table, and then you can retrieve the retrieve the specific information what you need. So the information is generated dynamically based on your SQL query. What are the information you are asking, and if it matches with the database, then you will get it. And the users need authentication. Users need authentication but using SQL injection, you can redirect the requested page to in other way. What we can do, we can already, I have told you that this is the SQL query where we can comment the password system. So now our main SQL query becomes like this, and if you go to the coding technique, then string type str query, where count star from users, now where username equal to txt.text and password equal to txt password, and it will happen like this. So easily you can get access. So easily you can get access to the database using this password. Now the if we consider this one, there is one page is bad product list.apx, and if we check the vulnerabilities, we will show that, and already in the last class we have mentioned you that using the SQL map we can find the vulnerabilities of the web application. So using those application, if we find the vulnerabilities here, the in this page, for example, we have the SQL query here, and we can inject the information here, and it will already the SQL map will show you where you can inject your information. So here str plus equal to where product name like txt filter.txt. So what we can do, since this is the input box, this is the input box, easily we can inject information here. So this is the filtering box, and we it is used to filter the product. So what we can do, as this is the vulnerable text box, we can easily change this information using SQL injection. And we have to find out the input button. When we will check the vulnerabilities, always there may be some sort of vulnerabilities in the input text where you can put some sort of input. So when you will get this one, then definitely you can change the SQL query in those input places. So this is the this is the code for bad product list, and we can inject query here, and so we can attack in this place. And then if we do the attack analysis, of the SQL injection, then here we have the username and password. And we are putting the for example, SQL query select product ID, product name, and these are from products where product name like blah, union select 0, username password 0 from users, and then we are putting the comment. So this is the system. This is the system. We can put the we can inject the SQL into the into the system, into the database. So since we have here we can put the information here for a search button. We can put the information for price and for other things, but since we have the input box here, easily we can put the SQL comment like this, where we can get all the information of the users. I will let you know the union operation, how the union operation work. I will let you know here. Okay, he will he will get the username, the product name, like blah, this is a product name, and then it will union select 0, that means 0 username password. This is the field from where we can put 0, that means the unit price or other things. This is the starting of the pointer, and then we'll start messing with the we'll start union operation of the username and password. So including the product name, what you are trying to get, username and password, and before username you can you don't need anything, and after the password you don't need anything. So you are putting the the union operation, this 0, because the union operation is will be the item wise. So this 0 will be union with product ID, and username will be union with the product name and quantity password, and then union price is 0. Since we have 4 fields here, you need also 4 field here. So we can do this union operation, and easily we will get the password, username and password. We'll show the SQL injection. No worries, don't be worried that I am putting the theoretical knowledge now, and then after like before, after a few slides I will show the practical things as well. For every practical things, if you have the theoretical knowledge, then you can do better. And in the hacking courses, actually most of the cases you will get lot of theoretical things, and then you have to work with the real world, because we cannot do any test to the real world. For this reason we use DBW as the proxy database. So and then there is a update table. So how can we update a table? You see here, forget password, there is a forget password and asking for email address. Forget password asking for email address, where it can send password to you. So this is the SQL vulnerability. This is the vulnerability. So what we can do, we can put here blah, and then update JB customers set JB email equal to, here I put the email, and where email equal to this is the email. That means where it will get the jason.springfield.com email ID, it will replace with info@jaggyboy.com. That means this the information of the customers will be replaced with the info@jaggyboy.com. So, and then after this one, everything is the comment. So what we can do, we can update value of the database. Here if you execute this one, it will be executed like this. Select JB email, JB password, JB login ID, JB last name from members, because you have to have the members, where JB email equal to blah, and then update JB customers. JB customers, we are updating JB customers, set JB email equal to this one. This is the actual SQL query. It will be executed. So what we can do, we can put, instead of email address, we can put the SQL query, and then we can have, or attacker can have the specific information from the database. Now, if you want to add the new record, so what we can do, the attack analysis. I'm just remembering what we did. This is the query code analysis. We can analyze SQL injection. We can put the SQL injection. We are telling this one here, and then this is a bad product list where we can put the SQL attack. This is the things, and then this is the attack analysis. How can we execute the SQL query, and this is the thing, how can we update the table. If you want to update the database, you can update like this. And now if you want to update a record, how can you adding a new record if you want to add it here? Just this is the, after this on blah, we can put the things. This is the new query, insert into JB customers. We are inserting values. JB customers, JB email, JB password, JB login ID, and JB last name. Values, the values I am putting, this is my own values. What are the values? This is the email ID, jason@springfield.com, and then hello, and then we are putting hello. Hello is the password, and then login ID Jason, and then last name is Jason. What it can do? It can Jason Springfield. What it will do? It will change the password. It will change the password with hello. It will change the values with hello. That means now from after executing this one, the password of this username, password of this email ID will be hello. So we can change them. What we can do, we can change the value of this one. So what about the SQL field? SQL field is like this: select JB email, JB password, JB login ID, JB name from members, where email equal to blah, and then insert into JB customer. This will be the queries. These are the value we are putting. If there is anything after the semicolon, we have already put colon, hyphen, this one hyphen. So after this one, everything will be on comment. So whatever the things you are doing, you are putting your code, you are putting your value. After your value is after the blah, this single quotation to up to this comment. So before this one, it is your code, and you can do whatever you want. You can modify whatever you want. So in this way, you can add a new record to the database. That means you are putting username and password. And if you put new username and password, then easily you can get access to the database in infinite time until they are checking that you are unauthorized user. And then identifying the table name, how we can get the table name using SQL injection. So we are putting here blah, then colon, and after that n 1 equal to, that means the value 1 equal to, if we get anything, it will return a true value. 1 equal to select count star from my table. select count star from my table. My table is the my table. This is the comment of the database, and it will return the name of the table. It will return the name of the all the table. So whatever the table you have, you will get it. And in my table, you can guess the name of the table, because you have the access. Once you have that access, you can put the table name employee, you can put the table name guest, whatever you want, you can put the table name here. And then if the table name is all right, it will return the values, or otherwise it will not return the value. So if you put this one here, then what will happen? It will happen, the SQL query will be select JB email, JB password, login ID, JB last name from table, and where JB email equal to blah, and one equal to select count star from my table. Here you are putting your gaze table, whatever you are gazing. So in this way you can get access to the you can get the table name. So you are gazing the table name, and if you get a return value, then you will think that table name is all right, otherwise not. And then deleting the table. And so if you know the table name, or I have already showed you how you can get the table name. So if you want to delete the table name, because if they have some important information, right? I mean, if you try to buy something from Amazon, so Amazon has your all the information, including credit card, and then if you drop the just credit card table, if you just drop the credit card table, then what you can do, you can delete the table, and nobody can buy something from Amazon using the e-commerce site. So here what you can write, blah, single quotation and then semicolon, drop table credit card, because where you get this table credit card, you have already in the previous slide, you are getting the table name from the database. So once you get the table name, then you can delete. If you cannot get the table name, then you cannot delete anything. So what is the SQL query will be executed? Select this one, from members where JB email equal to blah, and then the second line is drop table credit card, and then after them whatever it is, it will be treated as comment. Why you need to put comment? Because you have to put the comment symbol here if there is any critical things after your this one, because you are putting in middle of the SQL query, so if anything any critical information maybe after this one, so it can restrict your SQL injection. So what you can do, you have to put the comment, and after the comment, whatever it is, it will be treated as comment, so it will execute up to this one. For this reason, in every after the SQL command, we are putting the comment symbol. Then after this one, you don't need to read it, this is a comment. So in this way you can do the SQL injection. And what are the different types of SQL injection? SQL, basically, we have two types of SQL injection. One is error based, and this is the easiest way. And as well as most of the attackers do error based SQL injection. And another one is blind injection. Blind SQL injection, it is a little bit difficult, and it will take some time. It will take a lot of time because it will work as a test and trial basis. So what are the types of error based SQL injection? Number one, union SQL injection. You have to do the union operation, and then system stored procedure, and then system stored procedure. So you have to store the system, and then tautology. What is tautology? Tautology is always true. A compound sentence will be always true. For example, um, mm, what you can do, we have told you in the previous one. Just if I give you the example here, in this way, the username equal to blah, the username equal to blah, or 1 equal to 1, 1 equal to 1. This statement, this is a compound statement. This is a compound statement, and this compound statement is will return always true value, and this type of statement is known as tautology. So one is the tautology, and then end of line comment, and another one is the comment, and then illegal or logically incorrect query. And we have to find the incorrect query as well. So what are the types of blind SQL injection? It will be no, this so this is not the actually type of how we can do it actually. These are the two types, and we can do this on error-based SQL injection. How we can do it? One is union, and another is system stored procedure. Another one is tautology, end of line comment, and another one is illegal or logically incorrect query. What about the blind SQL query? Blind SQL query, it will take some time, and because it will use the time delay. Actually, it will use the time delay, and then it will also use the Boolean exploitation. How we can use the time delay, we'll let you know later. We can use the clock. For example, 30 seconds. If it is true, we'll put the 30-second delay, or 10-second delay. If you get the delay, that means your system is working, and if it is not making any delay, that means it is not working. In this way, you can use the time delay. So error-based SQL injection. What is the error-based SQL injection? First, you will put some erroneous message into the box. SQL injection always will be used in the input box. So if you have the input box and you are putting the wrong input in the box, then it will perform some operation, and it will result in error message. And this error message will be used for SQL injection, and this type of message will be differ from database to database. So these are the main thing of the error based. So you are putting some information into the SQL, and then you are getting some error message. So error message is the main source of information in error based SQL injection. So in here we have put the one SQL query. Here select star from products, where ID product equal to ID product. That means we are getting information from here. And what will, if you put the value, if you put some value, so you are putting the value here. For example, ID equal to 10. ID equal to 10. So in here, how we can inject our SQL query? We can put SQL query in here, malicious code, using the example.com. Here the example.com equal to product.php, ID equal to 10. This is the OR symbol. either ID equal to 10 or UTL in header dot get dot hostname select user from dual. Dual, this is the Oracle database. It will work in the Oracle database. So what we will do, this is the example actually. You are putting the value 10, and as well as you are trying to get the host name, so it will return the host name. It will return the host name of the parameter. So you are getting dual is the by default database in the Oracle server. So from this database you are getting the host name. So in this way we can inject the SQL in the command line as well. So in the error based SQL, what the attackers can do, the attackers exploit database and stored procedure to perpetrate their attacks, because they are trying to exploit the database and as well as the stored information to get the information from the database, so that the attackers can prepare himself for attack. And then end of line comment. What is the end of line comment? Already we know that. For example, here we have put the select star from users, where name equal to X and user ID is null. Here user ID is null, and after that whatever it is, we have put the comment line. So it will not execute whatever it has. And then logically incorrect query. So what the attackers will try to inject some illegal or incorrect queries, incorrect queries or incorrect parameters or incorrect data types or incorrect tables, so that it will produce some sort of information, some sort of error message. And then tautology, I told them always it will return the true value. That means based on this true value you will get lots of information. And then union operation, yes, with the victims SQL query, you are putting the union operation with your new SQL query. For example, you are using union select. You can use the union select. So select name, phone, address from users, where ID equal to 1. You are putting ID equal to 1. Union all. Whatever you will get from the next select statement, it will do union operation with all the information. Union all, select credit card number. That means it will match the credit card number, then 1 1 from credit card table. You have the credit card table, so you are trying to get the credit card number, and then the next two fields are 1 1. We have put 1 1 value just for the match with this one, and putting the 1 1. And so since we are putting union operation, we can retrieve all the credit card numbers with this SQL statement. So we can put the union operation to inject the SQL query. Now union injection, what we can do, we can put the value. I already showed you that we can use the union operation. For example, if we have the SQL query, select name, phone, address from users where ID equal to ID. This ID we can get value from the text box or from other things. So what we need to do, we are trying to get the credit card numbers from the credit card tables, and if we put here if you put the id equal to id, then it will depend on the value of the text box. So you don't know which username is there. So what you are trying to do, you are putting id equal to 1, id equal to 1. If you put id equal to 1, and then you are setting the new SQL statement, union all select credit card number 11 from credit card table. So what will be the final query? Final query will be like this, and if you execute it easily, you can get the credit card number of the username. So in this way, to find the value of other known tables, to find the value of the other known tables, you can add some new SQL query with the union operation, and union operation you will get the value of the original query, and you will also get the value of the query you have injected. So in this way you can use the union operation. So this is actually based on error message, based on error message, what type of SQL we can do, what type of operation we can do. We can do the union operation, we can do the system store procedure, and then we can use the tautology. These are the examples what we can do. We can do the union operation. So, and then blind SQL injection. What are the things in the blind SQL injection? This blind SQL injection is used when a web application has the vulnerability. Without vulnerability, you can do nothing. Actually, the attacker does not have any information regarding the database, even the error message actually. So what they can do, they have a generic page, blind SQL injection in identical to a normal SQL injection, except when an attacker attempts to exploit the application rather than seeing a useful error message. In the previous one, the attacker has the error message, and based on the error message he can do the SQL injection. In the blind SQL injection, the attacker does not have the error message, and they can customize a page which is displayed. So what you can do, you can customize a page. You can customize a page, and as well as the web developer, they have used the customized page rather than the error message. So it would be difficult for the attacker to know about to know about where there is a vulnerability. So this is actually time, it will take a lot of time, because you have to work based on error trial and error basis, because you are trying, and then you are trying to make a new statement so that you can get information. For this reason you need a lot of time for the blind SQL injection. And in this one, no error message actually returned, because if you do the SQL injection here, you will get this type of message: oops, we are unable to process your request, please try back later. So you may get this type of information. You don't have the you don't have the error message. So if you get this type of information, what you can do, that means if you design, so if you design a customized page, so that if you when you can successfully inject your SQL, SQL query, then you can get this type of message that, oh, yes, you did it successfully, or you have to write down the SQL error message like this. So blind SQL injection is used for wait for delay, yes or no response. So how this one works, how the blind SQL works, we need to know this one. Here we are putting the SQL queries. We are putting the SQL queries, and we are writing that if exist. If exist, that means if yes, select star from credit card. And if it is true, then wait for delay 10 seconds. If it is true, then wait for delay 10 seconds. That means even if you are putting some wrong information here and you are getting this type of message, you are getting this type of message or this type of message. So if you get this type of message, that means, and then you are trying to get access to the database, and you are trying to find the vulnerability space. So what you are trying to get, you are you are writing if exists, select star from credit card. That means if this statement is valid, if this statement is valid, then it will wait for 10 seconds, otherwise it will not, because the user, they are very clever and they put this type of message. So what you can do, you cannot change this one, you can just change the time delay. So you are putting this one, so it will check whether the credit card will exist or not. If if it does not exist, then it will immediately give you this message. That means the credit card table is not in the database. And if yes, that means it will sleep for 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds you will get this type of message. So that means you are gauging the table, and this credit card table is correct. In this way, using the wait for delay, you can using the wait for delay, you can gauge the specific information of what you need. So in this way, we can do the blind SQL injection. So that means you are getting the correct table name, and then you can, same thing, you will get the column and other things. So now, and then Boolean exploitation. What is the Boolean exploitation technique? This is the multiple valid statement are evaluated either true or false, and you are putting some information, and you are putting some queries, some request to the HTTP server, and it will return the true value or false value. So based on the true and false value, you can also have the SQL, you can also gauge the table and other information, and based on this exploitation you can get access to the database, or you can collect some information. Now what we can do, we have learned so far two types of SQL injection, and we have also learned how we can identify a table name, we can update the table, we can add the new record and identify the table, delete the table. And we have two types of SQL injection. One is error based SQL injection, and another one is blind SQL injection. So now we will have a few lab work based on this. So it will help you to do the SQL injection, and then I will come back. So now Monirujjaman will do the lab work.
Thank you, sir. So we have learned about the theoretical explanation. So now I will show you how to do it practically using DBWA. First of all, from the last class, we have got lots of requests to that you are trying to access SSL website, but you are facing some error. So I will show you how to configure SSL based website using Burp Suite. So you can follow me. After installing the Burp Suite, just connect it. You can see I have connected. Here is my network setting. I am connected to the proxy. So after that, for testing this, simply run burp. So here is error message. That means my proxy server is not running. I need to run Burp Suite. Burp is opening. So right now, so now if you go to Burp, there you will see this default page. That means our browser is connected to Burp, and after that you will have to download this CS certificate for configuring SSL. So download this and save this in your computer. So this file is saved. Then again go to preference, privacy and security. In your privacy setting, Firefox privacy setting, you will see a setting for certificates. So click on view certificates. Then you just need to import the certificate you downloaded. You will have to import this certificate. After this, I think there will be no issue while browsing HTTPS website. I think it will solve your problem. Now we'll start DBWA. You have learned about the theoretical knowledge of SQL injection. Now let's see how it works in real life. So we are going to use DBWA, and DBWA already installed in our local host. So I need to connect our admin, and password is password. So this is the DBWA, and after login, first of all we need to update the security level. So we are setting low, and we are done. We'll start with SQL injection, and we already showed you how to do brute force and some other attack, but today I am going to show you SQL injection. For testing SQL injection, simply click SQL injection. Okay, here you will see a simple web-based application which will show you user information based on the ID. You can search any user with ID. So if I put 1, it will show me the first name and last name of the user. So how this is stored in database? Let me show you. So you already know this. This application is connected to my database. Let me show you where it is connected. In our config file, I have putted the server information, the database user and password. So this application is already connected with this database and with this table, and with this table we can see all our user, and I can see we have total 5 user ID, first name, last name, password, and some other information. So using this application, we can simply search any user. So you can, in real life scenario, you can have any student. If you think about a student management system, you can search your student ID and get your student information, or any other thing. So this is simply a search form and a request. You can see a get HTTP request. Get request is sent using the URL. So if it was a post request, then there will be no value in URL. So this is the difference between get request and post request. So simply you are passing ID and the submit button. So this is HTML form, and when you click on the submit button, this connected to the database, and then it will execute, and it will query this, and it will get the values from database. So if I put suppose 3, so this is user ID 3, this is the information hacked and name. So you can see this, if I put 3, this is my name. So if I change this, let me show you, so you can understand that how this is connected to the database. So you can see, if I now put 3, this is showing, so this is showing a changed value. So before attacking this, we need to see the code, and from the bottom page you can see the source code. So if I click on the submit button, what will happen actually? You can see this is a request, server request, HTTP request, and if is set, this is a PHP based script. So if is set submit, that means if I click on submit button, it will take the ID from the URL. You can see the ID from URL. That means it will take this ID. Here you can see this ID. So if I click on submit button, our code will take this ID, then it will assign this to ID variable. After this, as we are already connected to the database, we can simply make the query dynamic. So we are making a query, select first name, last name from users. That means we are selecting first name, last name from user table, and we have a condition here where user ID equal to ID. This means we are taking this ID from URL. This ID variable is simply passing here, and this is going to the database, and after this we are printing this value. So this is simple, but we cannot see any security check here. So it's executing, it's sending the raw value from the user. So there is no change. I am directly taking the value from user and sending it to database using MySQL query function. So how we can exploit this? First of all, as I showed, if I put 2, it will show the information from 2. Now from our theory, we learned that we need to put any unrecognized character here. So simply put dash here. Okay, here is a error message. Let me show you again. If I put any character which is not recognized by the query, so if I submit, so this is returning error message. What does this mean? This error message mean I have a SQL syntax error, and if you can see this error message, that means we can do SQL injection here. It's 99% possible to do SQL injection here. So this is our first step, that we know SQL injection is possible. Error-based SQL injection possible. Now what we will do? We can simply we will put or. That means if we put or in SQL query, we can put or and. This is the syntax. So if we put or, either if I explain from code, simply if I put here where user ID equal to ID, or any logic which will be true, this will return all value for first name and last name from all meshed value, all meshed query. So simply I am running or 1 equal to 1, then I need to comment out all the other things. So you can either use this one or this one. This depends on the version, database version. So for me, the hash will work. So let's see what's happened. So now this is no longer showing me only the information from the user, which ID is 2. This is returning all the 5 available records. So if I put another record, suppose, let me insert one more user ID test 2, user test 3, password such a 1 2 3. This password will not work. So okay, so I need to put 6 here. Avatar. Right now we have 5 values, 1 2 3 4 5, because we had 5 entries in database, but we inserted one more database. So let's see how it can query all, show you all those value from database. 1. So this is my query, and now see, the last entry is also included. That means the 1 equal to 1 is always true, and this is doing the thing. This is the tricks. And then I have other queries. Here you can see. So if I have other things, I'm simply commenting it. So this will no longer work. So our query will be injected here. So this is the basic things, and how we can do exploit this. We are simply just taking value from all of this record, and how we can simply, if we want to get password, you can see in structure, in this database, in this user table, we have user ID, first name, last name, user password. So it's possible to get this password also from this attack. So let me show you. You can see now this is showing the password for admin, for Gordon, for change value. All of password are already here, and this is a simple, and you can see the last password I have inserted 1222, all are here. So you can simply change. If you want to drop any table, simply just run this query, and union, select one table name from union, select null, contact, first name, then I have a colon, then password from user. So if I don't want to show information from user table. I want to do delete query. So how I can do this? This is simple. After this, you can simply run delete query. So this will delete user tables from my database. So it will work. You can try it, and then this is as you can see. If I put any unrecognized character here, you can see error message. That means this is error based SQL injection. So we have another example here, SQL injection blind, and if I put one this character here, looks here we don't have any error message. So we don't know whether it's possible for doing SQL injection or not, but we can do some tricks. So if I run any, this will work with the previous query, but if I run any invalid command here, this will not take time. But if I run any valid command, that means if I try to delete any valid table, this will simply connect to the database. So that will take time connecting to the database, and then the normal invalid query and the valid query will not take same time. Based on this, I can realize that SQL injection may be possible here. So this is so tough, but when you will get experience, I think it will be easier for you to do blind SQL injection. But for now, you can simply do low SQL injection. So that's all for today. I think now we will continue with our slide.
Yes, thank you. Now I want to go for some question and answer because we have to answer some questions. Mr. Ashraf, is any should be submitted by us?
Homework.
Homework should be submitted by us. If yes, then when and which?
You need to submit the level, medium level and hard level of SQL.
Yeah, today I will talk to the admin and then I will let you know the date and time about homework. Mr. Ripon, which operating system is used to do all the attack in this course? Actually, you can use the Kali Linux as well as you can use the CentOS 7, but you cannot do anything with the single operating system. You have to have the multiple operating system to do the attack. The test, please come up with the valid name and valid username so that I will answer you. Mr. Rajiv, what if the data in the text field are parsed as string? I hope the demo tutorial will not work. If the data is text field passed in string, rather your English is difficult to understand for me. However, what I understand, if you pass the string type data in the text, you are thinking that the demo tutorial will not work. But you have to make the tautology. You have to make the tautology, and as well as integer value will be the good choice for you. But if you want to use the string, then you have to be logically correct in all the things. I think you can work with the string. Mr. Nasim Ahmed, what is the prevention of SQL attack? Yes, you have to do the secure coding policy, and I think we have one lecture regarding that, how we can do the secure coding policy. So you can do it later. Mr. Shamin, is there any difference between JavaScript and XSS attack? If yes, what is the difference between them? Yes, JavaScript and SQL, definitely there is a difference. You have to have the JavaScript in here, and XSS is a cross-site scripting. This is based on maybe HTML and PHP. So there is a difference. Mr. Ratul Roy, is there any attack possible on NoSQL like the SQL injection? Yes, there is a NoSQL attack as well, so you can do it. That's not a problem. Mr. Mahmudul Hassan Akondo, what is the source code validation audit? Yeah, you can do the SQL map. Yeah, you can do the SQL map. If you put the SQL map, you can do the audit. Audit, definitely. Mr. Ashraf, what is the benefit of knowing password as it is encrypted? Oh man, if you know the encrypted password, you can get access, and as well as you can decrypt it. There is another tools where you can decrypt the password. Maybe we can show you in the next class how can you decrypt the password. Thank you. So we can go to the slide again. All the question and answer finished. So SQL injection methodology. So what we can do in SQL injection process? First, you have to gather information in SQL injection vulnerability. So first thing, you have to find the information, you have to gather the information, and as well as the SQL vulnerability, and then try to launch your SQL injection attack, and then finally you can go for advanced level of SQL injection attack. So how can you gather information? So number one, check if the web application connects to the database server in order to access some data. So whether you have the connection with the database server or not. And then list all input fields, and also you have to find out the where you can put some input, because you have only access to the input fields, and as well as you can put the request field, and there may be some hidden fields where you can put input as well. So you have to find that one, and then attempt to inject code into the input fields, and in your input fields you have to put the invalid input so that you can have the error message. And then try to insert a string value where a number of expected, where the number is expected in the input field. So try to put the string value, and then the union operator is used to combine the result set of two or more select statement, and then try to put the union operation. And finally, now a detailed error message. Try to find the detailed error message so that you can execute the SQL injection. And identify the data entry path. So attackers analyze the get and post request to identify all the input fields, hidden fields, and cookies. So we can use the burp suite, or we can use the temper data in this case, so that we can get the value for the data entry path. We can get the data entry path. And then extracting information through error message. I told you, please, this is the essential information, and you have to get the error message from the database. So how can you get the error message? You can put some invalid input, invalid string to find the error message, and it gives you that error message will give you information about the operating system, about the database type, and about the database version, as well as privilege and operating system interaction. And depends on the type of the error. Depends on the type of the error, you can change your attacking technique, or you can try your various types of attacking technique. So here what we can do, the information gathering technique, parameter tampering. Attacker manipulates parameters to get and post requests to generate error. Error may give information such as database server name, directory, and other structures. And what we can do here, in the we are putting the ID equal to car, ID equal to horse, ID equal to book. If we put in here wrong value, if we put here the wrong value, then we can get the error message in the error message, so that the attacker can attack. Attacker can find some, get information, and then vulnerability as well. So we can find the error message in this way. And then what are the information we can get from the error message? First, we can determine the database engine. We can get the database engine, and then we can determine the SQL query structure, and what type of query we can use, and what type of query we can use. We can determine that one, and we can determine the table name and column name using the tautology, and then we can put inject operation, and we can try to inject the SQL statement and find the select statement, and then where clause, and then try to use in the select statement to inject the SQL query. So these are the things how we can work with the error message. So from the error message, we'll try to determine the type of the database, and then we'll try to get the SQL query structure, and then from that query we will try to determine the table and column names, and then we'll try to inject the we'll try to find where we can inject the SQL statement, and we'll try to get the select and where clause, and then we'll try to use the select statement for SQL injection. And then another thing, we can have a grouping error. So we can find the grouping error, and because from the grouping error, this is a very important information. From the grouping error, we can find the column names. We can find the column names from the grouping error, and as well as then type mismatch. If you put type mismatch here, you can insert a string into numeric field, so that you can get the error value, and then you can put the the union operation. You can put the union operation, and you can get the type of the data type of the column. This is the important thing, because if you put the numeric value and it is working, then you will and then put string value. If string value not working, then it is the numeric value. If numeric value is not working, then it is a string value. So try to put the type of the type from the mismatch. And another thing is that the blind injection, you know, I told you we are using time delay, and if it matches, it will work. If it does not match, then you will get the information immediately. So we can use the blind injection as well. So how the attackers extracting the information through error message? So the attackers attempt to inject some information, for example single quote. Already we know how we get information through the error message. Already we have tested it. So what are the testing string you can use? We have put some string. You can use those type of, you can test with those type of string to for SQL injection. So if you try one of these string may work. So how we can detect the SQL injection? So we can, there is a function testing, fuzzy testing, and as well as dynamic testing. So what is the function testing? This is the within the scope of the black box testing, and it will return no knowledge with the inner design of the code or logic. So it will you don't need any knowledge about the database. You can do the function testing. So fuzzy testing is the it is used to discover the coding error. So in the test and trial basis, you can find out some sort of coding errors, and then so that you can work. And then static and dynamic testing, it will analyze the web application source code. So example of function testing, so you can do it like this. Here parameter 1 2 3 parameter, you can use this one, use this one, this one. You can put like this, and these are known as function testing, and you can do function testing like this. And SQL injection black box penetration test, black box pen testing. So in this process, so send a single quotes. Already we did it, send a single quotes as the input data to catch the instances where the user input is not sanitized. So you can put the single quotes, and you can as well put the double quotes as the input data to catch the instances where the user input is not sanitized. So you can use the single quote as well as the double quote. In this way, you can detect the SQL injection issues. So detecting input sanitizing, how you can find it? You can find it right square bracket. This character, you can use this character as the input data to catch the instances that the user input is used as a part of SQL identifier without any input sanitization. So if you use this one, then you can detect whether the user has used the input sanitization or not. And then detecting truncation issues. So try to send a long string of junk data. Put the long string so that you can find is there any truncation or buffer overflow or not, to get the SQL error. And finally, detecting SQL modification. So how you can do send a long string of single quote characters or double quotes character or square bracket, and this makes out of return values from a replace quote name functions, and might truncate the common variable used to hold the SQL statement. So in this way you can do the black box penetration testing. So in the 4 ways you can, in the 4 things you have to do it. One thing is the detecting SQL injection issues, then detecting input sanitization, detecting truncation issues, and detecting SQL modification, whether this one will work or not. And then source code review to detect SQL injection vulnerabilities. So you have to review the source code to get the vulnerabilities for SQL injection, because you have to find out the vulnerabilities. You have to find out the vulnerabilities so that you can do the SQL injection or not. And now, what type of tools you can use for testing source code vulnerabilities? So you can use Microsoft Source Code Analyzer, CodeSecure, SPM, QA Inspect, or PL/SQL Scanner 2008. And 2 types of analysis: static analysis and dynamic analysis. You can do source code without executing, or you can analyze the source code in runtime. This is called dynamic analysis. So SQL injection in performing union operation. So how you can do union operation? In union operation, we can use the union operation. Here we can use, for example, the page page.spx and then id equal to 1 union. You can put union all select, or you can put union select all. Both 2 will work. And then 1 db name, 2 3 4. So db name will return the return from the server. It will return the database name. So using the union operation, you can find out the database name. And then using the union operation, you can extract the database tables. How you can extract the database tables? Here id equal to 1 union select to all, the 1 table name 3 4 from system objects, where x type equal to character this one. This will return, this table name will return the name of the table. It will return the name of the table. And then extract the table column names. How we can do it? id equal to 1 union select all, 1 column name 3 4 from db name dot information schema dot columns, where table name equal to employee table name. Because we have already get the database name from using this union. We have already got the table name using this union, so we can easily find out the column name using this table name. And then we can extract the data of the first field. We can extract the data of the first field. So what we can do, we can do id equal to 1 union select all, 1 column name -1. Column name -1, it will return the data of the first field. It will put the value of the first field from the employee name. So in this way, we can use the union SQL injection to get the database name, to get the table name, get the column name, and as well as get the data of the first field. If we can get the data of the first field, you can easily get the data of the second, third, or fourth field. That's not a problem. And error-based SQL injection. So how can we do? We can find out the database name here. So to get the database name, here sp.id equal to 1 or 1 equal to convert integer db name. So if you put this column and this this statement, then easily it will return the name of the database. It will return the database name, and then extract the database table name from the error message and error based SQL injection. And if you put this one, this syntax error, this type of sentence covering and variable character values table name, and this is actually give you the table name with an error message, and similarly this will give you the database name with an error message, and then it will give this one, the select top one column name from DB name, because already we have the DB name information schema dot columns where table name equal to we have got the table name from here. So here we can get the error message with the table column name, and in the same time we can get the first row data of the first field. If we put this one, we will get the data type. We will get the data type. So easily we can get information. So based on the error message, we are extracting the name of the database. We are extracting the name of the table. We are extracting the column name, and as well as the data type of the first field. So we have to be critical where we need to put the which type of SQL injection. So using stored procedure, we can perform error-based SQL using stored procedure. So here we have some stored procedure. We have some stored procedure, and in the SQL code, and we can try with this one. We can try to inject the SQL. We can try to inject the SQL from these stored procedure, because these are within the these are within the database. So what we can try to do, we can try to inject SQL using this procedure. So we can try to modify, or we can change the query for this stored procedure. And then we can also bypass logging using SQL injection. This is the most important things. This is the most important things where we can bypass. And to bypass, we can use the in the login form. In the login forms, we can put admin, this one, this is the comment, this one, this is the comment, or this one, this is the comment. Or we can use what? We can use single quotation or operation. We can use either this one, or we can use this one. So and also we can log in as a different user. We can log in as a different user. What we can do, we can use union operation. We can use union operation. So if we use this type of code, or if we can use the union operation, so I think we can in most of the cases we can bypass the password. We can bypass the user password. So what we can do, if we get the we can try to bypass login by avoiding MD5 hash check. So how can we do this? We can have this one. For example, we have the example username equal to admin, password equal to 1234, and 1 equal to 0 union all, select admin. These are the values. These are the values we can put it, and this value is the hash value of 1234 using MD5. So we can try with this one as well, so that it may bypass the password. It may bypass the password, because we are giving the hash value and as well as we have the username password, and we are putting this SQL query, and it will help to bypass the login, bypass the login. And so this is the things how we can how we can bypass the password, because most of the web application you need the username and password. So you can try to bypass the password using this one. And then perform blind SQL injection. So blind SQL injection, how you can work with this one. So how you can work with this one? How you can work with this one? So first, try to get the first character. First, try to match with the first character, because this is the trial and error. So you are putting this one ID equal to 1 plus n plus 55 if or d mid select plus here equal to a 5577. This a means if the users, if the table users contain a column pass, so it is users contain a column pass, and the first character of the first entry in this column is a, first character of the first column. So the select, we have a, we have a table users. Here we are using the table users, and we are here select pass, and the first column is pass, the table name is users, and we are trying to find out the first character. If the first character is a, then the DBMS will return the true value. DBMS will return the true value, otherwise it will return the false value. So we have a limited characters, 26 characters, and as well as only 10 digits. So we can just 10 and 26, 36. If we try the 36 values, easily we can get the first value. So for this reason here, the 1,1,1, this one is the first character. And if we want to check the second character, if we match the first character, then we can go for the second character. So if we want to check the second character, then again we can try this. We have put 2 here, that means we are trying for second character. So if the second character is 97, means a, if second characters contain the a, then the database will return the true value, otherwise it will return the false value. In this way we can try the character by character in the blind SQL injection. For this reason it will take long time to get some information using blind SQL injection. And in the blind SQL injection, extract the database users. So here, you can get the database users, username. We'll try here the length of the user equal to 1, length of the user equal to 2, and length of the user equal to 3. So you have to try both, and if it matches with the 1, then it will delay for 10 seconds. If it matches with the 2, delay for 10 seconds. If it is matches with the 3, delay for 10 seconds. So we can find the length of the username using this one. And so you have to match 1 to 10 characters, 1 to whatever the number of the characters, until you are getting the true message. You have to get the length of the characters. So for example, if in the username has 12 characters, if the username has 12 characters, then you have to check first character like this. You have to check first character and then second character, third character. You have to go until the 12 characters. So in this way you can extract. In this this is the, you can check the first character, check the second character, check the third character. So in this way you can extract the database user. So once you get the database user, then you can try another method to get the password, or how, or you can bypass the login password. So in this way you can extract the database user from the using blind SQL injection. For this reason, blind SQL injection, it will take long time, because the first you have to find out the length of the user, how many characters are in the username, and then you have to message the first character, second character, third character, and first character you have to message with the 36 characters. So 36, no, more than 36 character, because maybe there are underscore, maybe there are hyphen, so a lot of symbols may be there. So you have to check with all the characters as well. For this reason it will take sometimes. And then you have to try to extract the database name, and the database name, you have to find the database name. So you are getting the database user, and then you have to check for database name length and as well as name. So the length is like previous one, you have to message with the database database length, how many characters are there in the database name. So you have to mess with that one. In here, for example, we have 4 characters in the database name, so it will return when you will put 4, it will make a delay of the 10 seconds. And then you have to message with the first character, second character, third character, and fourth character, and if it will match, then it will create the 10-second delay. So using this query, so using this type of test and trial basis, you have to find out the database name. So in this way we can find out the username and database name, and as well as table name, column name. We have to go for test and trial basis. First you have to find out the length, and then you have to find out the character, first character, second character, third character, and then how many columns you have to find out the number of column as well. So in this way the blind SQL injection works. So now